Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Pine Cellar podcast. I'm going to be your host today, Sam Marie. It's just going to be me, myself, and I. No guests today, no Gia today. If you listened to last week's episode, I had Brian on, my husband, also counterpart to the Pine Room Studios, the Pine Room podcast, and we were talking about how the Pine Cellar is going to have a little bit of a pivot for temporarily. Gia, she is a super busy, hustling and bustling girl, so she needs a little bit of a break, a little bit of a time off to focus on some other things right now that just need to take priority. And when she's ready to and has the time, she'll be back on. So in the meantime, we'll do some solo episodes. If we hate this one solo episode, we'll forget about it and we will find a guest for every single podcast episode. So just let us know if there's anybody you guys are interested in hearing a story from. If you guys want to come on and chit chat, let me know. Let me know and we'll have you on because we have the time and space to. But so today it's just going to be me and my fun drinks. Today I am drinking a Ghost, a little cutie patootie Ghost, if I do say so. It is one of the 100 milligram cans, and it is the red berry, so it's like the red little Sour Patch guy. That's the flavor of it. But we were in Charlotte, North Carolina over the last weekend, and in Charlotte they have Harris Teeters. And Harris Teeter sells these in 4-packs. It comes with 2 of the little blue Sour Patch Guy flavors and then 2 of the red. And so, yeah, I got them. I'm excited to see if Kroger has any now that I'm back. I don't know if they will. I know they have the Alani minis, but I don't like the flavors that they sell in the minis. So yeah, if they don't have the Ghost minis, then we'll just go back to drinking a full 200 milligrams, right? I was telling Brian how there is this fitness influencer that I follow. Her name's Samantha Mack. She runs marathons and she is obviously very healthy, takes very good care of her body. And I have this toxic habit of, I'm well aware of like caffeine content and how much I should be intaking. And obviously it's not the healthiest habit that I picked up. Like if I could be drinking coffee or matcha all the time, that would be ideal, but unfortunately, PA school, coffee and matcha wasn't enough. I actually didn't like matcha at the time, so coffee just wasn't enough. And at PA school, they would have the fridges like full of Celsiuses. And I think by the end of it, they might have had Alani's, but they were encouraging us to fuel up. So that's where the addiction started and grew. But when I see a fitness influencer that I really look up to and I see them drinking something like this, like Samantha Mack will drink the Ghost energy drinks, when I see that, I'm like, you know what? She's doing it. I can do it too. It'll be okay. And that's not necessarily how it works, but I feel like camaraderie in the addiction of caffeine drinks. But if you've never started them, don't go ahead and start them. It's hard to stop. And because they're so delicious. I do wish, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I wish Alani, or even if these Ghosts did it, my favorite flavor is the Warhead Sour Heads. I wish they would make non-caffeinated versions of it just so, maybe I could still just drink like a little teeny tiny bit of coffee to get the caffeine that I needed. And then I could drink one of those caffeine-free Alani's, caffeine-free Ghosts just to get the taste and the flavor because they're so good. That's part of the addiction is they're literally delicious on top of the caffeine. Yeah, there's just my thoughts on caffeine. I try not to go over 200 milligrams. I know like daily maximum intake should be 400, but in my head it doesn't really make sense that why can Brian, who's double my size, have 400 milligrams and I can also have 400 milligrams? That seems a little suspicious. It seems like another situation where something was tested on the male body and they forgot to test it on the female body as well. So as a woman, I keep it below 200, especially just like given size and stature. I think 200 milligrams is enough. There's no reason I should be drinking any more of that. But yeah, so there's my thoughts on caffeine, if anybody wanted them. But yeah, this last weekend, as I said, we were in Charlotte, North Carolina. We went on a little trip to see my parents. My mom was recently She's been battling stage 4 colon cancer, and she's, kicking butt, taking names, beating statistics, all that good stuff. But she did have like more of an acute illness as a result of it 2 weeks ago. But she did a 180, turned it all around. She's doing way better. And now she went to a physical therapy rehab facility, and she's being discharged early because she's doing so well. She actually got discharged today, so I'm excited to hear from her, to hear how it went going home, to see. She has this dog. Her name's Gronk. We've had her since high school, and while I was there over the weekend, my dad went to work, and Brian was out of the house, and then, of course, my mom was in that facility. And Gronk was just so anxious, and I think it's because my mom's been out of the house for like 2 or 3 weeks, and she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know what's been wrong. She hasn't been away from my mom for more than a night shift at work in the last 13 years, her whole life. So I'm excited to see how it went going back home and how Gronk's doing now that she's back home and healthy and feeling better. And so that'll be exciting. I'll probably call her after this. But yeah, so we went to Charlotte, North Carolina. It was amazing. It was sunny, 75. I actually attempted to record this episode while I was there, but unfortunately I had some technical difficulties and some environmental issues when I was there. So that didn't get done. So we had to toss that, our second toss of an episode, and we're redoing it today, but that's okay. I kind of have a script for today's, given that it's a solo pod. But yeah, so why don't we get into that? Today's episode is going to be all about this phenomenon that I'm experiencing. It is my first year I feel like I've experienced it, maybe my second, but it is that quarter year slump, that quarter year crisis. We are finishing up the 3rd month of this year, headed into the 4th month. Where are we with any of the goals that we made at the beginning of the year? Because I will be honest, I'm nowhere. I haven't followed through on any of them, but that's okay. We still have, how many more months do we have? We have 9 months left, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 9 months. Good math. We have 9 months left in this year to get back a hold of it. I had some really big goals heading into this new year, and then I had some major unforeseen circumstances. I feel like every year it's like 2019 was a year I was really excited about, and I thought it was the worst year of my life. And then 2022, I graduated. I was supposed to be so excited. And then it was even worse than 2019. And then I kind of got a little break. Some bad things happened, but we pushed through them and we stayed focused, kept our routines. And then 2025 hit me, and it hit me hard. I think it hit a lot of people hard. 2025 has not been an easy start. We're only 3 months in, and I'm like, wow, maybe this is the worst year I'm going to have in my life. But anyways, I don't think that's true. I think we can turn it around. There's just a lot of unforeseen circumstances. For example, we had some financial concerns because we just had to evict somebody from our home. And so we lost a lot of money with that. And then my mom was very, very sick, which obviously that is like the top thing, and it really set things confusing. It's a part of the reason why it's been such a break for Pine Cellar, because this was just not going to be a priority during that time. And also really simple and really silly, but this was our first year back up north since I've lived down south. I lived in Georgia, lived in North Carolina, and I came back up here for this winter, and this was one of the worst Januaries to ever come back to. January this year was a hard winter for everybody. And so on top of that, to go even more north than we once were made it pretty difficult, kept motivation levels low. Hadn't seen the sun in like 45 days or something ridiculous. And that was a real shot to the motivation and the dedication levels. So I feel like I made these major goals when we when we ended 2024. You guys saw the vlog, or if you haven't seen the vlog, we made mood boards, Gia and I did. We were so excited for the new year. And then 2025 just didn't give us a chance. But again, that's okay. We can turn this around. I have some ideas to share. Nothing here is going to be groundbreaking. Don't come here for any groundbreaking advice. Just going to be realistic advice, realistic things that realistic things that I'm going to be implementing, that I've already started implementing in order to get myself back to where I want to be for this year. And not just this year, but just like living in life in general. If you've never heard of like this quarter year slump, one thing that you've probably seen before is when everybody makes their New Year's resolution, and then very frequent gym goers, they will post something on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, and they're like, wow, I can't wait for March to hit because all these people will be gone. They'll have given up. They're basically preying on your downfall. They don't want to see you up and taking up space in the gym. So that's something that happens very often, is you'll see the negative aspect of it. But I am just here to let you know, I have been a frequent gym goer in my life, and I'm not this year. I am not. And again, I'm with you if you're in this quarter year slump. Here are some realistical. Should we use that? Realistical? No, let's use words from the dictionary. Here are some realistic ways that I'm going to be making some alterations to be able to achieve and live life the way I want to live life this year. So a major thing for me is fitness, taking care of my body, and eating right. I would say I've been out of this habit for probably like a year and a half. It's not just 2025. It was also 2024. I was really good about it in the first half, but I let everybody down in the second half of 2024. So it's okay. So a year and a half was dramatic then, wasn't it? It's been a year probably that I've been out of it. And I think the thing is right now, and all of the external stressors that I have, as I'm sure many of you also have, I can't manage a fitness goal if it's just to maintain a happy, healthy body by going to the gym. I can't maintain that without being able to see a finish line, being able to see a goal. That laxity is not working for me right now. It's worked for me in the past, but it's not there right now. I have often been a very go with the flow type of person, not planning everything out to a T, but I think that lack of schedule and routine and lack of finish line, lack of type of goal is just not going to work for me right now. I don't have the dedication or the motivation levels in order to continue on like that. Whereas like in school, you had a schedule of school, so you kind of could go with the flow outside of those hours. So if one day I could get to the gym before school, cool. If not, I'd get there afterwards, and I could be a little go with the flow with that then. That sort of mindset is just not working for me right now. So I have picked a specific fitness goal, so that way I have to complete certain mile markers. I have to progress in order to be able to achieve this, and that is going to be a 2-month to a 10K run. I've been out of running for a while, but I used to run cross country. I used to run long distance track, and then after I graduated, I continued running like I would run. I go to the gym and run like 5 or 6 miles a day. Did that for a while, and then I used to be in the range of like anywhere from daily. I was running daily, but anywhere from a mile to like 4 miles was kind of my maximum for a while. And then 2023 it got less and less. 2024 it got less and less. So I'm not completely unaware of or completely a newbie to running. I know a little bit about form, a little bit about pacing, a little bit about training, but my body has been out of running for a minute. So I think this will be a fun goal to challenge myself, but it'll also ensure that I am doing something physically, whether that's a cross-train day, a running day, a sprint day, a stretch and yoga day. It'll make sure I have to move my body in some sort of way most days of the week. And on top of that, running this much, I'm going to have to fuel my body. And right now I haven't been fueling it the way I need to be because I won't wake up early enough before work, so I won't eat anything, and then I'll be back to back to back to back, and then I got to drive home, and then I don't eat anything until dinner, and that is so completely unhealthy, and I should not be doing that. But so if I have this goal, I have a set schedule as far as how I want to train for it, and then on top of that, I'm going to have to fuel my body in order to be able to train for that. I think it's a really good way to get my fitness goals back on track. I picked a 10K. I know that's probably a little bit weird, but I picked a 10K because a 5K didn't feel like it would be a challenge enough. Like, if I'm being honest, I could go run a 5K. It wouldn't be a good 5K, but I could go run a 5K right now if I wanted to. My first day back to training, I already ran 3.5 miles, so that wouldn't be enough of a challenge to motivate me enough to stay dedicated to it. So that didn't feel like enough. Now, if we go way down to the other end, a marathon, I don't know if I'll ever run a marathon. I ran cross country. I kind of know my limits. Any type of race that involves, like, am I going to have to pee in the middle of this? Am I going to have to shit in the middle of this? I don't think I want to be a part of it, if I'm being totally honest. I know a lot of marathons have, like, porta potties, and that's good, but have you guys ever you're sweating and you're exhausted and trying to pull your pants down, go to the bathroom, and pull them back up? Because that's hard. It's just about as hard as trying to go to the bathroom in, like, a wet swimming suit. So that just doesn't feel like something I want to do for myself personally. If I'm being totally honest, it doesn't feel like something I want to do. Half marathon also feels like a little bit too long for the amount of time that I've made it, because I want it to be around that Tough as Nails time, and that would be in 2 months. The Tough as Nails is like another sort of run obstacle course situation, but that's when they do the Ogden 5K. They have a bunch of races that whole weekend in Wheeling, West Virginia, and I want it to be about that time. So a half marathon just feels a little unattainable. And again, when you get to that point, I still think I'm going to have to go to the bathroom. And I don't know if they put porta potties out for half marathons. Let me know if they do, because again, that's my biggest fear is, like, if I have to go to the bathroom, I'm not peeing or pooping on myself. Forget about it. I'll exit the race. Like, that's just, that's a boundary for me. That's a boundary for me, and I won't pass it. But so a half marathon could be in the future, depending on how this is going. Don't keep your eyes peeled for a marathon, because I don't think that'll ever be me. But anyways, and then Tough as Nails. I considered this because I think it's somewhere from 6 to 8 miles with obstacles, and I still might consider it. The only thing is I'd like to be as physically fit as Brian is so I could run it with him. I used to be able to run past him and much longer than him, and then he has surpassed me by minutes and minutes and minutes at this point. I used to be able to keep up with him. I can't right now. I would be holding him back for the entire race. So I would like to be physically fit enough to keep up with him, or keep up with somebody who could help give me a boost with some of the obstacles. Because I know last year there were some obstacles, if you're of a certain height and stature, you simply could not get over them. And I am of that height and stature. So I want to be able to do it fully. I don't want to have to run around. Like, there's no way, if I'm running with like a pack of people and they're, let's say they're all taller and they can make it over these obstacles, and then I have to walk around them. I can't do that. I can't do it. I'm not walking around obstacles. So Tough as Nails could be an option. I need to figure out that obstacle situation, because that gives me anxiety. And so that's where I landed on a 10K. I used to think the Ogden also had a 10K race, but supposedly they do not. And maybe they never did. Maybe I dreamt this, but I thought for track we used to hand out waters for the 10K, but maybe it was only the 5K, or maybe it was the marathon. But I thought there was a 10K. But Brian already looked at it. There isn't one. So we might just make our own 10K and run it. And plus, if we've trained for a 10K and I know in my mind I can do one, then we might just go ahead and run the 5K that weekend anyway. So we haven't totally decided. But my goal is to essentially be able to run a 10K in 2 months. So I'm picking a fitness goal. You can pick any sort of fitness goal if you need some sort of finish line, end line. One year I had I wanted to be able to do 10 pull-ups, and I achieved that and surpassed it. I can't do that many pull-ups anymore, but I had achieved that goal at one point. And then another year I was like, I really want to be able to do pistol squats. Now I know how to do pistol squats. I can only do about 3 to 5 on each leg at this point anymore, but I used to be able to do a little bit more. So just, I need something to look at to be able to attain in order to get myself motivated and dedicated enough to follow through on how I need to be eating and fueling my body, as well as how I need to be exercising and moving it, because I'm just wasting away this body I was blessed to exist in. And I just, we need to take care of ourselves, guys. It'd be helpful for the mental as well. So that's one thing I'm going to be implementing. But again, you could really pick any fitness goal. Again, I think a lot of things that are fun to do is something functional. Again, like pull-ups. Okay, you're going to have to go to the gym and lift to be able to do that, or calisthenics. So I just 2 months to 10K is what I'm doing. I can keep everybody updated on how that goes. I've only had to do one training day yet. I have to run again tomorrow, but the one training day that I did was you did 8 rounds of running for 5 minutes, walk for 30 seconds. So 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and do that 8 times. And I ended up running a little over 3.5 miles, I think, or it was right at 3.5 miles. My pace was 11 some minutes, because my regular pace on flat land was 10 minutes, and then there were so many hills, and I was looking down at my phone. It was current pace right now as I'm running up the hills 12 minutes and some seconds. So the hills hurt me. I'm gonna have to be training some hills, and because I'm sure the Ogden and Tough as Nails has hills, because we're in West Virginia. So that'll be one thing I'm doing. Okay. Second thing I'm going to be doing is a 10-minute cleanup, 10-minute daily cleanup. This cleanup is something I want to happen after work. First thing I do when I get home from work, after letting Q Dog outside. So I'll get home, Q can pee, and then I'll clean up for 10 minutes. This way, every day, something is getting done. So day 1, it could be the kitchen. Day 2, it could be sweeping and mopping and doing the floors. The next day, it could be carpets. The next day, it could be laundry. And by the time you've taken care of these things, again, next day could be the bathrooms. When you've taken care of these little itty bitty things throughout the week, when that time comes to Sunday and you want to do your little reset, or whatever day of the week that is for you, it's going to be so much less overwhelming. And I know this is something a lot of people experience, and it's something I experience, but when there is so much clutter and I can see the dog hair on the floor, and I know the litter boxes need changed, and there's a pile of dishes in the sink, when I know all that needs done, and I know it's going to, at the end of the day, end up taking 3 to 5 hours just based on living in the size of a home that we live in, I will freeze. I won't do any of it. I'll be circling in my head, what should I be doing first? Where do I even start? I won't pick up anything that I enjoy doing, like reading a book or watching a show I'm watching or exercising, or I will just freeze, paralyze, and just scroll on my phone. And that'll be my whole day. And then nothing will get done. So I think if I take this time to take care of little tasks, and it's literally 10 minutes of your day. 10 minutes of your day, I'll get home, I'll start a stopwatch, and I'll just get after what I want to get after, and then I'm done. I don't have to do anything else because I did what I was choosing to do that day. I used to do this when I lived with roommates, like when we'd have an apartment, or when I lived with my friend Ariel in a home. I would do a 5-minute because I wasn't really responsible for the whole home, whereas I am now. So I think because I am now, I'm going to bump it up to a 10-minute, because 10 minutes is still if I just know I'm going to be doing whatever it is for 10 minutes for cleaning, okay, that's really all it affects is that's 10 minutes less of doom scrolling on my phone. So that's my goal, is just a 10-minute cleanup, again, just to like free up some stress, free up some space in my brain. Number 3, something that I'm going to start doing is journaling. And I have been guilty of trying to be a journaler every single year. I've bought the 5-minute journal. I've bought different journals at Target. I get them and I have different ideas for them. I'm like, okay, this time, you know what? When it was the 5-minute journal, you're like prompted. It's like gratitude, goals, blah, 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 blah. Then I get like a blank journal. I'll be like, okay, this year, at the end of the day, I'm going to recap everything I did for the day. Or because I was like scared of losing my memory. And then the next day, the next journal I'd be like, okay, I'm going to write down all my dreams. And then the next journal I'd be like, I'm going to pour my feelings out into this like it's a diary. And then without a doubt, every single journal I've had, I did it for one day. One day. I have never done a journal for more than a singular day. I've done them all for one day, but then they turned into a notebook for something else, for like school, or they're just sitting in my office right now, if we're being real. So this journal, it's going to be a little bit more mindless. I just want to spend a few times a week making sure I'm emptying stuff in my head. So today, I scheduled out some things content-wise, content creation-wise, for Cellar, for a little book talk that I made. I just wrote some stuff out. Another day, I could pour my feelings out into it like it's a diary. The next day, if I did have a wild dream, I could write it down. The next day, if we went, let's say we go away on a weekender trip, I can do like a junk journal. If you guys have seen junk journals, let's say you go to New York, for example, you go and see a Broadway show, you keep the ticket, you brought your camera with you, okay, you take a Polaroid, you ate at this fantastic restaurant, you keep the receipt, and you put all that quote unquote junk into this journal, and it's really cute. It's like very scrapbooky vibes, and so I could do that. Or if I'm really excited or passionate about a book I just read, or I want to get my thoughts on about it, I could just write about that. Or if I am just feeling inspired, like I started writing a book a little while ago. Don't expect it anytime soon. I don't know that it'll ever see the light of day. But I had started writing a book, like I guess maybe some months ago now. And if I'm just out and about and I have this journal on me and I feel inspired about something, I could just go and write it down. If I feel like writing a little poetry, rhyming a little bit on this paper, then I'll do that. But just it doesn't have to be anything. It could just be a brain dump. But that way I keep this journal. I free up some space in my mind instead of like, oh, I need to keep that for later. Oh, I need to keep that for later. Just write it down while I have this journal on me. And that way it's not so serious. Like, it's not me pouring out my feelings. It doesn't have to be exhausting. If that dream I had last night was terrible, well, then I don't have to write about it, because why would I relive it again? So just that's the kind of vibe that we're going for. Just keeping it easy. I wrote on here with a star, mindless. Just a mindless journal to free up some space, and maybe decrease the stress, the jumbled mess that is in this brain, the anxiety. So I think if I don't have like guidelines on it, it'll be more fun to pick it up. So again, like if I want to write about something I'm excited about, I can do that. It doesn't have to be like this thing that's so serious. An unserious journal is what it is. But sometimes I guess it might be serious, but it's my unserious journal. That's my goal with that. Another thing I want to do is just get back a little bit into routine, but I think with all these other little tactics, you can kind of see where I've already accidentally built a routine, because if we go back 2 months to 10K, the best time to be able to do this just based off of when I get off work is going to be before I go to work. So I'll wake up probably 2 hours earlier than leaving for work, because I don't have to go to the gym. I just have to go outside and run, which also makes it a bit easier in my mind to feel that it's more attainable and more accessible. So I don't even need a gym membership. I'll wake up 2 hours earlier, go get my run in, my warm up in, my run in, my cool down in. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have time to take you on a little 5-minute walk, which would also be great for a cool down. And then I'll get ready. I'll be hungry because I just exercised. And so I'll eat a full breakfast before work. Fantastic. I'll go to work. I'll work. Oh, let me listen to your heart, lungs, blah, blah, blah. What medicines do you take? And I'll go to work all day. Then I'll come home. The first thing I'm doing after Q-Dog pees is that 10-minute cleanup. I'm going home, clean up for 10 minutes. And then I have like all this time. And how exciting is that I freed up all this time. And I've just built myself this routine so that way I can do things that I want to do. And again, with building that routine, it allows me to do other things I want to do. Like another thing I wrote down, and that is prioritize my hobbies. I don't have too many hobbies, but I have hobbies that take some time and some brain effort. One of those hobbies is obviously reading. Sorry, obviously. If you've never been here before, that might not be obvious. But I love to read. I have read like 6 books in the month of March, which is pretty good for me. When I was like book slumping and stuff, it was like 2 or 1 book a month. So I'm back up in numbers, but I really enjoy reading. Another thing I really enjoy is content creation. I love editing and making videos. I don't know what any of the technicalities or words are called. You know, all of it is self-taught, but I love doing it. And so that's something I really want to focus on. I just made, and like even just not just Pine Cellar stuff, but making videos, or even like book talk. Like I made a little book talk to create videos, and that's fun. But even making videos for other people, like I made a little sports TikTok for, or not TikTok, but like an Instagram reel for the Pine Room Boys, and that did like pretty okay. And so people have reached out for making highlight videos, which is really exciting and a new form of content creation that I'll now be able to participate in, thanks to that opportunity for Brian, for him asking for me to edit something for him. And so yeah, I really enjoy content creation, reading books, and scrapbooking's been like a little bit newer. I've always loved like collecting and keeping pictures, but physically having pictures. And recently, like I made a scrapbook for a gift for somebody, and we made like a whole photo album from our trips. I still have to go back and make one from our Mexico trip. I haven't done that yet, but that's because I feel like I haven't had time to do it. So now that I've freed up all this space in my brain and my schedule by building this routine from these little teeny tiny habits to change, I've made all this time to prioritize my hobbies and be able to do things that I enjoy and love doing, instead of, again, like the routine I have been in is wake up, get as ready as fast as I can, go to work on an energy drink and some water in my stomach, work all day, get home, and I'm exhausted at that point, because how would my body not be exhausted? All I did was drink a little bit of water and have a full energy drink. Of course, my body hates me right now. So, and then I just like doom scroll until it was time for dinner, make dinner for the house, and then watch an episode of White Lotus. I'm okay with that. Dinner and White Lotus is still okay to be a part of the routine. But yeah, so if I make this routine for myself and really focus and kind of time block. I was always scared to be a time blocker, but because then I was a little bit scared of the commitment to that time block for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but I think right now it's just what I need. So that way, if I know I have to be up by 6 or I have to be up by 5:30 to get this run in, depending on how long it is, and still have enough time to eat, because there's no way I'm going to be able to run for 45 minutes and then go to work on an empty stomach. I forget where I was going with this. See, this is what happens when you don't fuel your body. Your brain is dumber. Your brain is slower. But yeah, so that's kind of how we are attacking our quarter year slump. And it's nothing life-changing. It's nothing crazy, mind-altering, original. It's just what I'm doing. So again, just like a fast little recap, a fitness goal, a finish line that you can see, so that way you can have to make progress in order to achieve that goal. Mine specifically is a 2-month to 10K training. Number 2, 10-minute cleanup after work. This could be though whenever. I know people, like some people are so productive in the morning and that's when they need to get stuff done. And if that's your time of the day, do it first thing in the morning. Like, get a little bit ready, but not fully ready for work. Do your 10-minute cleanup and then eat breakfast and go finish getting ready for work. But a 10-minute cleanup and it doesn't have to be 10 minutes. If 6.5 feels like a good time for you, then go for 6.5. 2 minutes? 2 minutes is better than nothing, right? I don't know what cleaning tasks you can finish in 2 minutes, so if I'm being honest, maybe just like switching over the clothes of the laundry. But whatever time you need for that. And then 3, a mindless little silly little journal. That's all for that. With that, I've built a routine. And then so lastly, I can prioritize my hobbies and be a happy gal. That's the plan. That's the plan, guys. The goal is just to be a happy gal. That's it. Okay. So, yeah, that's how I'm going to attack this quarter year crisis. And that's coming from a girly who's never experienced this before. But if you've been there before, comment, let us know your hacks to getting out of this. If you have not been there before, then maybe do some of these things along with me. I could post some updates about the running journey on Cellar or on like my personal account. And I don't know, maybe I can make like some TikToks of the 10-minute cleanup just to show how that goes. If I do make a video of it though, it's going to take a little bit longer than 10 minutes with setting up the cameras and stuff, but I'll calculate it and figure it out. But just know if you do see a TikTok like that, it actually took me a little bit longer than 10 minutes just for equipment setup. So yeah. That's all I got about the quarter year crisis. You know, if you are there with me, if you're not there with me, good for you. And let us know what you're doing to stick to your routines and your goals and what's really making you happy in 2025. But if you are with me, you're not alone. We can change these little tips and tricks and silly little things so we can turn it around and make it look more like the year we were expecting to have. We literally have 9 months. I calculated it earlier, but we have 9 months left this year. We have plenty of time to get it back together. And it doesn't always have to be on a year basis, right? Like, you can treat any sort of time of the year as like a rebirth. A lot of people do a mid-year reset. Go for a mid-year reset. That's fine too. I am certainly super, super guilty of like, I'll have a terrible Monday and I'll be like, F it. Next week will be better. Babe, it's Monday. Tuesday might be better. Tuesday might be better for you. But if I had a bad Monday and nothing went to plan, I will literally be like, the rest of the week, you know what I'll do? I'll just get through it. And then I've wasted literally 6 days of my life, or whatever, 5 or 6 days of my life, just because I had one bad day. And sometimes that one bad day is the result of because I had one bad encounter or one thing didn't go the way. So I am using this quarter year crisis and slump as a time to reevaluate how I am looking at things, because that is crazy behavior to be like, Monday sucked, so I know the rest of the week's gonna suck, so I'll just try again next week. Honey, you could have tried again today. You could have tried again today on this very Monday, or you could at the very least, try again tomorrow, because like the week's literally not over. So again, if you're kind of in that mindset with me, we'll try to get through this a little bit together and yeah, get out of it. But if nobody's there with me, like obviously it could just be a me problem. I'll grow up, okay? But yeah, so that's the goal, and I think a lot of it is just so I can find a bit more joy in the mundane, a little bit more joy, and be grateful for the things that are going right, and remember that just because these first 3 months didn't go good, or this one day of the week didn't go good, doesn't mean the whole rest of it's gone. Because life feels, well, I guess life is short, and like weeks feel long, right? The work week feels long, but life is short. So let's not waste all these days just because we feel like, you know what, 2025 is not going the way I wanted it to go, so I'm going to have to wait until 2026 to restart all of my goals and all my plans. Like, no, we can readjust, honey. We can readjust. I'm going to be readjusting. Let's readjust. And maybe we'll make a 2-month follow-up podcast on this to see if I've held true. Have I ran a 5K? Have I been eating how I should? Have I been cleaning? Have I been having fun in my hobbies? If I have not, then we'll call me out in 2 months. So that's all I got for you guys. This week's Woman of the Week is going to be Anna X Sitar. I'm not totally sure how to pronounce her last name, but she is a content creator, entrepreneur. She's in the process of taking acting classes and doing, I don't know what it is, like when you send in your video auditions or whatever it's called. So she's like on her way to being an actor, but she has 196,000 YouTube subscribers, 1.5 million Instagram followers, and 11.8 million TikTok followers. I believe TikTok is kind of more so where she got her start when she was in her, I think her grad program, she said, or her undergrad program. That is when TikTok kind of got popular, and so she was already like into media and into editing and taking pictures. So she was like, why don't we make some TikTok content? And so that's kind of where she built her following. I think her viral videos were her Starbucks videos, and that's kind of what had her like pop off. But so she has all of those platforms that she makes content on. And then she also has a podcast called Anna's Guide to, where is mostly I've come across her from. Anna's Guide to is where I really came across her at. I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but I've been listening to that, and I had that long drive from Charlotte, so I've been listening to that podcast, and some days my drive to work is like an hour 15, hour and a half, so I've been listening a lot to that and taking helpful tips and tricks from her, as far as like she had Anna's Guide to the New Year, Anna's Guide to Confidence, Anna's Guide to Marathon Running. So she has a bunch of different like inspirational podcasts. She is about the same age too. So she's just like fun to see. She really cares about the content she's making and the editing and the filming of it. So yeah, that is the Woman of the Week. I think she is a really good person to follow, really good person to get advice from, listen to, good role model. So that's going to be our Woman of the Week this week. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think of the solo episode. Is it weird just listening to one person talk this whole time? Did you hate it? Do you hate me? That's okay if you do. If you liked it, let me know. If you like me, let me know. And again, next week we have a guest coming on, so stay tuned for that. It'll be a good episode. But thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.